welcome to another episode of Life Changers, and this is Mike. Today, we're going to talk about reconnecting to yourself, and as you can hear in the laughter, we have a guest.
Hello.
She's making fun of me. This is our first ever guest, so welcome.
Thank you.
We're in a special location. Mm-hmm. So I'm talking here with Linda.
Hello.
And she's the owner of Corriveau in Owen Sound, Ontario. Mm-hmm. And she has a salt cave here.
Yes, I do.
And we're sitting in the salt cave right now.
We are.
Just checking it out and enjoying the salt cave. And it's really nice. You might hear a little echo. We turn off the waterfalls. There is two waterfalls in here. And they do a lot of different things in here. So just tell us a little bit about the business and what you guys do in here.
Oh, my goodness. We're in this beautiful salt cave that has Himalayan salt. Oh, probably a couple of tons of it. The salt, we blow in salt. It's called halotherapy. And when you breathe that in, it really helps to open up your airways and does all the... As you could hear the salt.
There is a lot of salt. I'm sorry, I'm moving around.
Salt. And it's a really wonderful room. You said it's reconnecting to yourself, and that's exactly what this room is all about. It's about reconnecting to yourself, right? It's about coming and spending some time here and enjoying it. So at Corriveau, we also have float tanks, right? And we have...
I'm sorry, I'm moving around. We're using some new technology we got, and I'm just testing it out and adjusting the microphones, but I'm good. I will stop moving.
You'll stop moving. That's okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. It makes it more interesting. It makes it, yeah. So we have a sauna and float tanks and a whole retail shop that sells all of your meditation or metaphysical items, crystals and all that fun stuff. So that's what we do here.
So what would you recommend somebody to do that just wants to walk in and they're just interested in taking a look at this, never heard of any of this stuff before? Goodness. What do you always tell them?
Well, I say welcome. No.
I would hope so.
No, we always start with a tour of the salt cave because you can't understand. The pictures just don't do it justice, right? You see this online and it's just not the same thing as seeing it in person. So we always ask somebody if they want a tour of this facility. Should I be moving my mic around too?
No, you're
good. Okay.
I think I hear an echo. I don't know if it's me or not.
Oh, but. And so yeah, because seeing this room in person is just it's beautiful. And the energy of it is amazing.
So, she's not joking. On the floor, you could probably hear all the crunching. Is broken up Himalayan salt. The walls are completely covered.
Yeah.
And then if you look at the roof, there's it looks like a cave pattern.
Yeah, it's like stalactite-looking cave ceiling.
And then she has LED lights going different colors.
Yeah.
I see blue, goes yellow, green.
Yeah, they flash, and then they have the salt tiles on the wall and on the floor, and yeah.
So if you live in Owen Sound, Ontario, or nearby, even an hour drive, an hour and a half drive, it's worth to come here.
So worth it.
But also, if you live in London, Ontario, she has another salt cave there.
I do. It's in a storefront called Balance Plus Tranquility, and it's almost the exact same thing. So there's a beautiful salt cave there. It looks different than this one. Obviously, they're all designed differently, but it's again the exact same concept of salt everywhere. And we have 4 float tanks there too, 2 huge infrared saunas with a full retail space and lots of practitioners. So it's exact same type of business, but just in a different city. London, Ontario, not UK. Not there yet.
Maybe you'll get there.
Maybe one day.
For now, it's in London, Ontario. Canada,
yes.
So what is a float tank?
Float tank. What is a float tank? So a float tank is a big cabin or a pod, depending on what you have, what the business will have. And it has about 10 to 12 inches of water with 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt dissolved in that water. And it's sensory deprivation. So it's soundproof, it's lightproof, and it's warm to skin temperature. So when you go in there, you float. You're very buoyant. But it's also... everything is made so that when you kind of release and you let go and you float away to nothing. You don't know where your body ends and the water begins. It really helps you to go inward and to reconnect with yourself and to let everything go. It gives your body a chance to heal. It gives your brain a chance to heal. It gives your soul a chance to heal.
That's very awesome.
It's amazing.
And I've done it. I haven't done it here yet. I do have it scheduled. I'm hoping to come this weekend and do it, but I've done it before. And the one you have here is different than the one I've done. I've done the clamshell style.
Yes, the pod.
Yeah, they call them the pod. But what's different about yours?
Mine's a big cabin, so it's big. So it's like 5 feet wide by 7 feet or 8 feet long, and then 7 feet high. Like it's a cabin. So it's the same thing, but you don't feel like you're going into a small pod. It's just a big cabin.
Yeah, so you can walk in. It's not like you're climbing.
You can walk in.
No
Yeah.
claustrophobic. If you're claustrophobic, come on in.
We've had
welcome.
people that believe, like they think they're claustrophobic, but then when they walk in that space, it's like, oh, this one's big, you're fine. And you can keep the light on if you want, or, so it's not, you don't have to be in the darkness.
I'm sorry, I'm just adjusting. It's different for being in studio to being on a live set.
I bet.
Takes getting used to. I'm trying to make sure the echo is down, so I'm staying close to the mic. So if I go farther, you'll hear a bigger echo. That's why I'm trying to stay closer.
Right.
But you're coming in nicely, so I don't hear no echo, no nothing. Maybe it's just me.
I think it's all in your head.
It's all in my head. It's my perspective.
Which is your reality.
Exactly. It's all about personal reality. So I talk a lot in our podcasts about how this is new to me. Like it's only been about 4 or 5 years now that I've been finding out about spirituality and finding yourself and reconnecting with the universe and stuff like that. But how old were you when you started hearing about this kind of stuff?
I don't know, because it's basically been my whole life. I grew up with a mom who'd always talk about visualization, right? Like if I want to do something, even when I was sick, she would make me imagine a Pac-Man. Yes, I'm that old. Eat all the eat all the black dots that were my, me being sick, and transforming them into white dots, right? So it was something that I grew up with. I was really lucky and blessed that way. Yeah.
You're very lucky to have that growing up.
I feel very lucky, let me tell you.
So before we started recording, we did a little rap session, just going over what we're going to talk about. And I was like, you're way ahead of me. And you're like, no, I'm not.
No, I'm not. Yes, I am very blessed and lucky to have my mom. So when I'm going through things, I get to call her and she gets to I get to chat it out. But I'm not ahead of everybody. I'm just like everybody else. I just have known about this longer. That's all. That's all it is. I'm not ahead. Nobody is better than anybody else. Everyone's just on this life journey, and that's it.
And we're all just trying to figure it out.
We're all trying to figure it out, right?
So you have 4 locations.
I do.
You have one in Sauble Beach. That's a storefront.
Yeah, I have it. That one's just seasonal store. So we opened that last summer. And it'll open up again this summer. And it's just the storefront. So it's just the crystals and the jewelry and the fun little things.
Okay. And then you have an announcement that you're doing another one somewhere.
I am. So we just finalized a location in Port Elgin. And that one is opening up. It's going to be a mostly storefront with one treatment room center. Where I'll be doing Reiki or other, energy healing practitioners or whatever. And that one is opening up hopefully by the time this is already aired. I don't know. No, but
yeah, we're about 2-3 weeks away from airing this. So hopefully,
but it'll be maybe probably a bit more than that. But I'm hoping by the mid-April at the latest. And that one is going to be called Breathe.
I like it. Breathe.
Yeah, because breathing is all you got to do.
It's that easy.
It's that easy. Yeah, right.
If it was that easy, I wouldn't have a podcast.
Right. If it was that easy, I wouldn't be doing all this. Right? Who needs a salt cave when you could just breathe?
But when I first heard that there's this, my wife's like, hey, I'm just letting you know, there's a salt cave in Owen Sound. I'm like, what, a real salt cave? Like the salt that's growing in here? But no, there's a real salt cave. You literally built a salt cave.
I did.
In downtown Owen Sound.
And
we're going to have the links to the website and all the information in the description. So if you feel free to go click on it, look at the different sites, which one's closer to you.
Yeah.
And check it out. I do recommend that. If you come in, just be like, hey, Linda. Is Linda here?
Is Linda here? You never know.
Who's that?
I might be. Yeah. Well, I get that a lot. It's kind of weird. But yeah, no, you never know. And definitely ask for a tour. If we're around, if nobody's in the salt cave, we will definitely show you our salt cave.
So you heard it here. Free tour in the Salt
Free
Cave.
tour of the Salt Cave. Only if nobody else is in here because you don't want to disrupt
It's
anybody.
true. If there's paid customers, okay. Come back another time.
You can't trump them.
Okay, so I like that today's episode is reconnecting to yourself.
Yeah.
So tell me,
Tell me.
tell me, when you had that moment of when things were changing in your life, that when you had a big decision to make, and then
Yeah, so it's funny because I just shared that today on Facebook. Of course, I don't go on social media very often, but 8 years ago today, I was going back to work as a teacher for the first time after my mat leave with my son. And I was so sad because I didn't want to go back to work. I wanted to be home with my boy. And I didn't know it then. I know it now. But that was the beginning of the end of the beginning of something absolutely amazing, because 2 months after that, I ended up making the decision to leave teaching, which was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, because I couldn't be the teacher I wanted to be and the mom I wanted to be, right? And that decision was kind of the pivotal moment, I guess, of everything that ensued, I became a stay-at-home mom. I had a second boy. And when he was one, I think he was 1, I started reading books and realizing, wait a minute, there's other people my age and I'm not old, that believe in what I do, right? Because I've only ever had my mom and my sisters, like my sister and my mom, like my brothers, but that was it. I didn't know anybody else was like me. I didn't know anybody else was quote unquote weird, right? So that leaving teaching kind of opened up this world that I didn't know existed, but I'm so glad the path I went down. And it was the idea for Corriveau came, I don't even know, it was like I wanted to be a meditation teacher. I just wanted everybody to be able to connect, right? To connect back to themselves. And it kind of grew and grew and grew until the storefront came about, the Salt Cave came about, that everything just kind of snowballed from that moment of leaving teaching. And it's a weird, there's other big moments that happened since then too, obviously, as we keep on having big moments over and over and over again in our lives, right? But I think that's the one that, like, if I hadn't left teaching, there was no way that I would be, like, I'd still be spiritual. I was always spiritual, but I wouldn't be anywhere into my journey as I am now. Not even a little bit.
Yeah, and like all our journeys take us all over the place. I never thought I'd have a podcast talking about meditations and law of attraction, stuff like that.
And that you'd meet me.
that I'd meet you. Be hanging out in a salt cave.
Hanging out in the Salt Cave? Like, come on. Right? And it's amazing how, as I dive deeper into this journey of like, and I'm opening up my 4th store, and the biggest reason, the biggest why as to all of this is connection. I want people to be able to reconnect to themselves, not to others, like, yes, to others, but really the most important relationship you have is your relationship to yourself. That's the biggest reason why behind all of this. And if I think back to my journey, I've been on the journey to reconnect with myself and able to help others along the way as well through this, right?
It's true. Hey, I never thought, like, my first time coming here, I started the podcast, I believe. And then as time went on, I was like, I need to interview this lady. I got to interview her. And, like, who am I, right? I just started a podcast a few months ago. We're trending. We're blowing up. We're on a radio station coming up tomorrow or the day after. You'll hear some ads in Denver, Colorado.
Amazing.
And then we'll be on another radio show in the UK coming up in a few weeks.
Amazing.
Which is odd. I never thought that when I started this. And I just thought, I'm just going to work the rest of my life. But I know I had to be my own business owner. So I opened my own companies.
Yeah.
I had to do that.
Yep.
But I never thought I'd be, and I always wanted to help people. Mm-hmm. But I never thought it'd be through a podcast. And you just got to go with the journey. Like, how hard is it for you just to follow the flow? Everybody, like, you hear a lot of people on TikTok, YouTube, and all the podcasts talking about how, like, oh, they just flow and they got their mansions, they got their $1 million.
I'm sure it's that easy.
But I want to be real. Like, there's a lot of real people out there, but
yeah.
Just get to the real point of how hard or how easy it is for you.
Oh, my goodness. It's not easy. It's the constant trying to remember to go back with the flow, because I know the universe supports me. I know that if I follow my soul, I know that life is easy. I know that I will get everything I want. I know that I don't have to worry about anything. I know that. But in that moment when something happens, I don't know that, right? And I go back into the stress of it all, the drama of it all, the fear and the anxiety and the worry, and I start overthinking things. And the great thing about this journey, though, is that my episodes of that being into that moment, they're further, they don't last as long, right? I'm able to like breathe through it and connect back to myself in a much faster, more meaningful, right? I don't have to worry about this. Why am I worrying? Worrying, all it does is brings up my resting heart rate. It packs on the pounds. Right? Like all that is that it's diminishing my life quality. And I don't need to worry about that. I don't. So that's what I've been doing is very real of the moments. And then I've got this. I don't want to stress out over this. I don't need to. And if I look back to the journey, I never had to. There's never a reason to actually worry about something because everything always happened exactly as it should. Everything always worked out. Everything did, right? And why was I worried? Like, before I wrote that resignation letter for teaching, oh my goodness, you should have seen me. It was like my poor husband must have heard me talking about this for hours and hours and hours, moaning and I don't want to swear, but
if you do, I'd have to put the explicit.
Oh, okay. But I was worried about it and I was mad because I was still in the victim mentality of they were making me quit because things were happening, right? And I was mad because I couldn't be the mom I wanted to be and blah, blah, blah. And it was just but then you look back and you're like, well, that was stupid. I was worried for nothing. I didn't have to. It happened exactly as it should, because if it didn't happen exactly as it should, I would have never left.
So the hardest part of like just going with the flow or just surrendering to the universe and to just accept it is well, I guess not the hardest part, but what's stopping you from just surrendering and going? Is it just you? Or
yeah, it's totally just, you don't have a great analogy for that. Okay?
I don't.
I do. Okay. So it's because of my son. I was pushing my little boy on the swing he was about 4. Okay. So 4, 5, he's turning 9 soon. So 5 years ago. And I was pushing him on the swing and I was like, man, when my husband pushes him on the swing, he gets so much higher. I don't understand why I can't push him as high. Right. And I'm pushing him and I don't understand. You know what I did?
What?
I backed away. I got out of my own way. I literally took a step back from my son and I started keep on pushing him. But all of a sudden he started flying. Like he started going because I took that step back. I got out of my own way. And when I did that and I saw my son start to soar in the air and being like, yay, finally as high as daddy. I was like, oh, I just had to move out of my own way. I was in my way. Me. Go figure. Right? But you're in your own way and you're the one that's always putting those blocks on. I can't do this because of this or blah, blah, blah. Or I can't, you worry about XYZ because of everything. It's always you in your own way.
See, and I tell this all the time, so everybody's not just me. But I say it all the time that the only person that can stop you from succeeding is you.
You.
And that if you keep on getting in your way and not getting out of your way or showing up for yourself, then you'll never do anything useful.
No.
I mean that. I don't mean that in a good, loving way.
No. But that's the thing, right, about life is that you just have to remember that you are actually so powerful. You're the most powerful being. You just have to remember to connect to yourself and allow that soul to take over and allow everything to actually happen exactly as it should. You have to trust. But that's the hardest thing in the world for humans to remember, is to trust.
Yeah, especially in this day and age, a lot of people are like, we don't trust nobody.
Nobody.
And growing up, I used to have, when I meet people, I'll be like, you have my trust. You tell me otherwise. But as I got older, people are always telling me, no. You don't trust people. They have to earn your trust. You have to give them a reason. I mean, you have to, see, I'm just losing my train of thought.
No, but do you? Do you have to earn somebody's trust, or should you already, I guess it depends on how you look at life.
Yeah. Like, I guess a lot of people in my life are just telling me, don't have expectations. Just always expect people to rip you off until they don't.
But if you go into that idea with you are expecting people to rip you off, they're going to rip you off.
Exactly. You attract what you think about most.
And you're in your own way.
Yes. See, that's the point I was trying to make.
You're in your own way. You're the one creating that reality. You're not connected to yourself because you're worried about people ripping you off. So you have to act a certain way because of this.
Exactly. So what advice would you give somebody being a seasoned?
I'm not old. No. Seasoned. What advice? Oh my goodness.
But the advice would be, what would be the first step to getting out of your way to start reconnecting to yourself?
Well, for me, the breath is the most important thing. To take that breath. Everyone talks about it, right? You count to 10 before you blow up, or you know what I mean? Like when you're angry, breathe. Take a second. They're not wrong. It's that moment of, because we all have that initial reaction of that to that stressor, right? We all have that moment, and you just want to get wrapped up in the drama and wrapped up in the fear, and you want to get mad. We all have it. We all get stressed out, and it's just to take that moment to take a breath. But just the awareness, to me, is such a big thing. If you bring awareness to why you got mad, if you reflect on it after, and okay, why did I get stressed out? Or why do I think this way? Or why? And you ask yourself why, and you start bringing awareness to it, eventually you're going to start peeling back all of those limiting beliefs that you have that have been, ingrained in you. So why do people keep on ripping me off? Why? Right? Well, start diving into that why. And actually, because I don't know. I'm
I attracted it.
Okay, but you get there after. In that initial moment, you know that now.
Oh, yeah.
But in that initial moment, you don't.
No.
Right? At the beginning of your journey, you don't know why people keep on ripping you off. You don't understand that you have those limiting beliefs. So you don't understand that you're attracting that. But just start to become aware, wait a minute. If everybody keeps on ripping me off, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe, I'm the main person. I'm the one that keeps on happening to.
But it's hard for people to understand that.
Oh,
and
yes,
to accept
it is.
I know for
100%.
me, it's hard for me to accept that. If I'm in one of our episodes, I was talking about how I'd be talking to people. We're having good conversations. Then later on, I'll be like, "There's a few things about this person I don't like." But is it that person, or am I projecting my issues onto them?
Right. And it's the idea that they've triggered something in you, but nobody is a bad person. That's it. They're all good people going about their life, but they've triggered something in you. And when you get triggered, it's affecting you. But that's about you. So that's the awareness. Wait a minute. I got triggered. Why? I got mad. Why? I got stressed out. Why? I got frustrated. Why? Because it's always about you. And if you can get back to you and really dive into yourself and all those emotions that comes with it, that's when you peel back those layers and you learn to go with the flow, and then you don't get stressed out anymore. One day I'll get there.
We're all a work in progress.
We are all work in progress, right? But that's the idea, is that what can you do? Bring awareness and ask yourself why.
Why?
Why?
So that's the question. That's the answer. First step is take a deep breath and go, why? What's going on? What do I not like?
And not, why is this person doing this to me? You can't, that person isn't doing anything to you. You're the one reacting. Why am I reacting this way? Right?
Yeah.
And dive into yourself. And that is such a key factor into peeling back all those layers and connecting to yourself. It's always about reconnecting to you and realizing that everything else it's just stuff. right? It's just drama. It's just fear. It's just anxiety. That is not you.
And it's only as real as you let it be, right?
Yeah.
It's not real until you make it real.
Right.
So, fun fact. Like I mentioned one of my podcasts that like, I guess a year or two ago, for the first time, I had a panic attack. And when I used to look at people like, people choose to have panic attacks. People choose to have anxiety. People choose. And yeah, like subconsciously, it's all there that we made the decisions that we're overthinking or we're worried about something and we think or whatever. But for me to be experiencing that at my age, I'm not that old either. At my age. But I find it very funny, or not funny, but like concerning. Just the other day, like I was just sitting there and just out of the blue, I just started feeling like I need to panic. And I started getting back to the feeling of when I had my first anxiety attack. I was swimming, and I'm a strong swimmer, and I could hold my breath for a couple of minutes underwater.
Nice.
But I thought I was dying, and I wasn't even under the water. But just all that keeps on coming back to you. So like to find yourself or to reconnect with yourself, is there any tricks of the trade and how people can work on themselves to overcome these issues?
To overcome all of those issues. To me, it's so our world is full. You're never, ever, ever going to find the answer in external sources. Like, don't get me wrong. Coming into my salt cave, I'm not selling you the salt. I'm not selling you like the chair. What I'm selling, what I'm bringing you is the time to reconnect to yourself. And that by far is what is going to get rid of those. That's what's going to bring you on your journey. Yes, you could go to a psychic. Yes, you could go get Reiki done. Yes, like those are all amazing tools. You could buy that crystal. Those are amazing tools. But at the end of the day, if you really want to reconnect, you have to go within. There's no external tools more powerful than within. So when you're in that panic mode, you're in that panic mode. When you are like you are filled with anxiety, that's like, I mean, it sucks. I get it. When you're depressed and you can't get out of bed, I get it, right? Like it's hard, but the more you sit with yourself, that's connect to yourself. That's what it is. That's what it's all about. And that's what I talk about when I say reflect on it. Ask yourself why, because all the answers are within.
So like a lot of conversations I have with people lately is that they feel they lost themselves. And this is like, we were talking in the pre-show, like what we need to, like what questions you want me to go over and stuff like that. And then...
Wait a minute. Are you going to ask me something that wasn't on the list?
No.
Oh, okay, good.
See, I only have two things written on the list. The rest of it, we're just going through letting the universe guide us. But I guess... but how we came up with the title of the show is just like you just want people to find themselves and like reconnect. I was like, reconnecting to yourself is the name of the show. And you could testify to this right now because all my episodes, this is how I do it. I just sit down and go, and then sometimes I talk with Joel, right? And this our sound technician and producer, and I'm just like, what do you think we should talk about today? And then either he'll come up and say, well, this, and I'll be like, oh, there's a title that I could use, and then I just go for it. So do I have a script? Am I using a script? Am I following?
Are you? No, I don't think so.
Scribbles on a paper.
You have scribbles on a paper. No script. We just talk.
See? And it's just trusting the flow of the universe. And I think this is like how you get the best material.
Absolutely.
Like, because every time I write something down, and maybe there's a lot of people, maybe you're like this too, but every time I write stuff down, or if I'm preparing a talk or presentation, people are like, you should be prepared, you should be. And I'm like, oh yeah. And then one time I totally forgot I was doing a presentation for this company. And then they're like, just letting you know, you're supposed to be here in an hour. I'm like, oh yeah.
All right.
And I just go up there and open my mouth. And I always step away from myself.
Yep.
I get out of my way.
Yep.
And I just let whatever needs to be said. So on that, we talked about reconnecting to yourself, but it's hard because everybody feels disconnected, disassociated. Like I'm only 39.
Well, you're younger than me.
But this August, I'm going to be 38.
Right. You're going backwards.
I'm going to go backwards.
Oh, right. Then I'm younger than you.
See? So when I go backwards, then it's the frame of mind. People think I'm crazy when I say, no, I'm not getting older and weaker. I'm getting older and stronger and wiser. So that's why I'm going to truly convince myself that I'm aging backwards. Then maybe I'll look young forever.
But let me know how that works in 30 years.
I'll let you know. But in this world where everybody's disconnected from people, like I don't even know my neighbors. We talk. Like I recently moved into Owen Sound, to the city. Like we have a place here, and I talk to people, but generally it's not like it used to be where everybody knows their neighbors, everybody knows the neighbors' kids, everybody knows everybody, right? Like when I grew up in Laval, Quebec, and I was allowed to go in a certain area, and everybody knew everybody. But nowadays, people are just disconnected. So in a world where we're always stuck on our devices or vices instead of devices, so they could come to a salt cave or anywhere, just relax and breathe into yourself and to find yourself. And
it's scary, isn't it?
It is scary.
It is scary.
Like for the longest time, I don't like myself. I mentioned this in my podcast.
Me too. I hated myself.
Right? So how can you love the world if you can't love yourself? That's why you have to reconnect to yourself before you can go on any journey.
And well, your journey is, part of my journey was learning to love myself. But more so than that, I realized that I was blaming a lot of my issues on the fact that, it's because I have low self-esteem. It was like a crutch for a long time of not loving myself. I could go on a whole tangent there, but
we have an hour,
right? Oh my goodness! But the idea that it is scary, like when people talk about their going in the floats. Okay, the float tank, it's dark, you can't see anything. It's light proof, like it's soundproof, you can't hear anything, and it's warm to skin temperature. It's not hot, it's warm. So it brings up a feeling of nothingness for an hour. People are scared. That is like the number one thing that prevents people, like that stops them from going in the float tank, is I don't know if I could do an hour, right? Like an hour alone with your own thoughts when you are disconnected, when you are, filled with anxiety or stress or fears. That is really scary. It is 100%.
Huh. So it's true. Like, if you put it that way, I'm even scared to go.
Right? It is scary. It's a scary thought to be alone with your thoughts. But the thing is, and you've heard this from 10,000 people, is that life begins outside your comfort zone. If you stay scared, if you don't go within, you're going to stay scared. You're going to stay in that anxiety-filled, disconnected state. But going within and actually sitting with your feelings and actually like understanding what is coming up and why you're going through this and why you have all these thoughts in your head and why, my favorite word is apparently why today, right? Like going through all of that brings you past that fear and it brings you back to yourself, and that connection to yourself is so worth it. It's not even funny. Like it's so worth it. So yeah, it's really scary. But if you are truly focused on bettering your life, and if you're listening to this podcast, I'm assuming you are, you know that the answers are not found in external sources. The answers are found within. You could start your journey by like, okay, I'm going to go grab that crystal because it has a great energy. Crystals have amazing energy, of course. Keep it with you. Keep yourself in that energy. Great. But it's not that crystal that's going to miraculously make all your anxiety go away. It's going to help. It's that connection to yourself. Going back to that. And it is step by step. If you look at it as all that you have to do, yeah, it's scary. But just a half hour by yourself, just an hour by yourself, you can do 1 hour. Anybody could do 1 hour.
And do you have people that sometimes just say, I'm going to pay for the hour, but I'm going to go in as long as I can?
Absolutely. We get people getting it early. Okay, I was done or I couldn't do it. That's fine. That's great, right? Like, it's baby steps. We actually just introduced 30-minute soul cave sessions specifically because we wanted to help those people come here for a shorter amount of time and just start. Floats is a little harder because you don't get into it for like... Because a lot of times, because your brain is so go, 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 go all the time, we want you to have that hour because that's when you fully start getting the benefits of it, right? You start letting go. If you were only in there for a half hour, you're not letting go. It's not long enough, right? But it's that first step. It's hard, but you can do it.
And like you mentioned that it's like, the doors aren't locked, all right?
No,
people can
no.
get out their free will, and it's dark in there. But do you have a night light for people that just might want a little bit?
Yeah,
of light
absolutely.
after?
There's a light in the float pods, right? There's a light in so that you could put the light on if you don't want darkness, right? Like even just going in there and relaxing for an hour without a device, without access to your phone for an hour. Can you imagine?
It's
Right?
the end of the world.
It
That's
is. I
We're
had to
done.
turn off my phone for this, right? And I was like, oh, I could do this. My husband is fine with the kids. You know, everything could wait. Everything could wait for that hour that I'm not going to have my phone. But we are connected through our phones. We're addicted almost.
Oh,
So,
I believe
right?
I am
So
addicted.
it's to get to that 1 hour without any distraction, without anything to take your mind away. That's hard.
And like, to find yourself or to reconnect yourself, you first have to, you would say, lose yourself or forget who you are and who you think you are,
Yeah.
and look inside and find out who you are.
Right? You have to reconnect. You have to let go of the idea of who you are to find who you are. Does that make sense? Isn't that fun? That is real. That's like a mind twister. But it is, because we have this idea of what we want life to be, what we want life to look like, what we think life should be. We think that we deserve all these things, or, you know, not just that. Think of the way we grew up. You're going to go to school. You're going to do this with your life. You're going to retire. You're going to work for 30 years. You're going to retire. And then, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you don't deviate from that. This is what you're supposed to do. And if you deviate, you're the black sheep, right? Way to go, Mike. Right?
That's it. I deviated from the plan. I can't work for other people.
But right? But it's hard to get back to who you are.
So
Yeah.
would you say
Oh.
I'm crazy that I actually have conversations with myself? And sometimes for me to bring it into my reality is to communicate with myself. Sometimes I talk out loud.
Absolutely.
And my daughter walks and she's like, "Who you talking to, Dad?" I'm like, I'm talking to my higher self.
That is actually, so for me, I don't talk out loud. I write, but I journal because that's who I am. You will talk to yourself because it helps you to process that why. All that awareness that I was talking about earlier, to help yourself go within, that is processing everything and going through it. Because when you're talking to yourself, when you're going through all of those conversations, don't you at some point know when you're lying to yourself? You know when there's a part of you that's like, I'm not saying the truth right now, but it's because you don't want to face it yet. You're not there yet, right? Same thing when I was writing. I knew when I was lying to myself, right? It's like, well, I'm mad at this person because of X, Y, Z, and it's like, I knew that I was like, no, I'm mad because she made me feel like I was not valuable, like a good person, right? And it brought back all of those memories of being bullied as a child, and that's why I'm mad. I'm not mad at her, but I'm mad at the fact that she brought that all up. But I could mask it by saying she was a bad person. But when I dove deeper into it, I discovered that it was really like, I didn't like feeling that way. That's why I'm mad, you know?
Yeah.
So your conversations with yourself will go deeper and deeper to bring that awareness into finally understanding the why beneath it all.
So I could tell people I'm not crazy.
You're not crazy.
But like during my journey,
Well, I don't know. You might be.
But during my journey through the podcast, I always tell people you have to find what works for you, right? That if you believe talking to yourself works for you, then talk to yourself. If you believe writing to yourself, do it. If you believe just sitting there just going nuts in your brain and just shut it down and relax, it all works. Anything works,
all works.
as long as you're in belief of it.
Absolutely. It's like, oh man, sage. You know, people sage their house.
Yeah.
You burn sage and it cleanses the negative energy away. It does. It absolutely 100% works because you believe it does. Because your intention behind it is that it does. But you don't need sage. You can cleanse the energy of anything with anything if you believe it does. If that's your reality. If you go into it with a full-on, this is going to remove, cleanse the energy in this room, it does. Right? So if you believe you're crazy, Mike.
But I'm not.
But you're not.
No.
Right.
Even when I talk back to myself, people say, you hit crazy if you're talking and then you get an answer. You're like, what the hell?
Ooh, but that's when you talk to your guides, and that's fun.
Yeah. See, that's a whole other
Right?
episode.
That's a whole other episode. Oh my goodness. Yeah. But no, you are responsible for everything, and your energy is so powerful that you create your own reality. If you think, it's like, when you buy a car and all of a sudden you only see that car out in the road.
Yep.
right? You brought that car into your awareness. So now you're focusing on that car. You're only going to see that car. Your brain processes 10 million things all the time, but it will only focus on what you want to focus on.
Yeah.
So if you want to see people ripping you off, you're only going to focus on that. And that's what you're going to see. If you want to see yellow cars, you are going to see yellow cars, right? But it's the same thing for all of it. So if you want to be the victim, if you want to think that that you're in that stressful moment because X, Y, Z, because of everybody else, that's what you're going to believe. And that's what's going to be hard to get to undo that belief. It's going to be bringing it out of your awareness, but into your awareness, but out of your awareness, right? It's going to be like, wait a minute, I believe this because I'm putting that out there, that this is what's happening. But when you reconnect yourself and you can see what the true part, like your true authentic essence, none of that matters. Yellow car, blue car, it doesn't matter.
You telling me the SATs I have to write don't matter? In the moment they do.
Right. In the moment they do. And that's not saying that things don't matter in the moment. It's not that like I wrote my MCATs to try to become a doctor, right? Like to try, because I had no idea. Of course I had to study. Of course you have to do the work to do what you want to do. You can't just be like, sit back in this chair in the salt cave forever and just have everything happen to me or have it, you still got to do the work and things still matter, but you got to go with the flow so that when things deviate from what you originally thought was going to happen, right? Like I was working hard for my MCATs because I didn't know what I was going to do, but doctor sounded great. And I worked hard, but I deviated from that, right? We deviate from things all the time, left and right in our life. And it's to be able to adapt to that without the stress, without the worries, right? How many people are stuck in a job that they don't like because they're worried?
Oh, I'm sure.
And those worries are valid, right? I'm not trying to invalidate any of those worries, but if you knew that you had to go, if you knew that there was something more for you, if you knew that if you just followed your soul, you would be supported, make it a lot easier, wouldn't it?
I know, like, it sounds crazy when I tell people, like, just, give up. Not give up in the negative sense, but just give up, get out of your way.
Get out of your way.
And let what's going to happen. Like,
yes.
We talked about pre-show, how I'm always like, hey, just, I always screw crap up.
Mm-hmm, because you get in your own way,
exactly.
Right? You take control and you get in your own way. And I'm the same. I'm the oldest of a lot of kids. I like being in charge. I like being in control of things. Letting go of control has been very hard for me because it's one of those things that's just, it's part of who I am. As a teacher, I was in charge of everything, right? Like I was in charge of those students and we were doing things this way and next, like that was the way it goes. But yeah, you have to get out of your own way. And you know how you get out of your own way? By reconnecting to yourself.
There's the key, folks.
It's all about reconnecting. And it's such a convoluted way of thinking, but it is. I have to get out of my own way by going within. I have to get out of my own way. I have to let go by connecting.
Because we're all defined by our surroundings, right? We're defined by our friends. We're defined by... And then, like, even me growing up, I used to be like, well, people think of me like being the funny, happy-go-lucky guy. So I'm always going to be the funny, happy-go-lucky guy. That's all there is to it. I'm never going to bring negativity to the ish place. And some people are like, you always seem fake, when you grow up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm just trying to find out who I am, but you guys expect me to be happy, funny Mike. Mm-hmm. But now I know who I am, just happy, funny Mike.
So you actually were happy, funny Mike.
But I didn't know it.
But you didn't know it.
I always thought I should be depressed because I hear people how depressed or sad they are, all this crazy stuff's happening in their life. I'm like, cool. Nothing like that happens to me because I don't care. But
it does happen to you. Think about it. Think of everything that's happened to you. Things do happen to you, but you look at it differently. You've changed your perspective on it.
It's true.
Right?
I always bring a positive.
So you could have had the exact same life, but a different mindset, and things could have gone way the other way.
It's true. I see it like in some, my siblings, people around me. Like, yeah, I see how it all works. But for reconnecting to yourself, I always tell people to give yourself something physical. If you're physical, we're all physical beings. But like for me, like I need something to do, to get what I want in the sense. Like, so if I'm trying to reconnect with myself and I find that I'm like deviating from the plan, should you have like a mantra or a saying that brings you back to, and it will trigger that?
You could, if that's what works for you. Absolutely. Like if you need that reminder, sometimes that's why people gravitate to crystals, because it's that reminder, right? Sometimes people will have a chant or a saying. With my son, when he was going through his tantrums, I would say Sa-ta-na-ma. Sa-ta-na-ma. And I know you can't see what I'm doing with my fingers, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, there's a finger thing with it too. But just that saying, peace begins with me. But we would sing it, Sa-ta-na-ma. And I can't believe I just sang on this. And you would be amazed at the transformation that would happen over this kid who'd have tantrums just to reconnect himself. Sa-ta-na-ma, over and over and over and over again. So yeah, that does work for some people to have that mantra. Sometimes it's just to like take a deep breath and visualize something, right? Some people are really good visualizers to like, okay, I need to like visualize myself in a bubble or floating on water or, in a meadow, in a mountain, whatever. Sometimes people need to like go away and scream, right?
Yeah. I've seen a new business where you can go in a room and trash it.
Right? So sometimes you need that sometimes you need to go for a walk. Sometimes you just need to talk to yourself. Sometimes you need to grab your journal and write. Sometimes like people need different things, and whatever works for you works for you. That's great. There's no right or wrong answer on how you can connect to yourself. But the most important thing is to not think that, how can I put this? It's not that thing that's doing the work. So let's say I went to my journal, but it's not the journal that's my magic key. Like if I didn't have my journal, I'd still be able to do it, right? Yeah. If you weren't surrounded by crystals, if we weren't in this salt cave, it's not the salt cave that's magic. Oh, granted, it is magic. But you know what I mean? Like you can connect to you wherever you are. But so as you go on this journey of remembering who you are and reconnecting to yourself, you have to remember that the end goal is to remember who you are and that you don't need any of this, because you can just take a deep breath and connect to yourself like that.
There's you probably heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza. Mm-hmm. One of his meditations that I've been doing is like he tells you just like you're in the blackness. Mm-hmm. Remember, you're nothing. There's nothing there. There's nothing. You're nothing. Everything's nothing. And that's when you're in the point of where you can like find yourself or reconnect to you, and then create who you are, mm-hmm. and who you want to be, and where you want to go, and step into that reality. Mm-hmm.
I love that. That's good.
Yeah. I do, yeah. It's really good meditation. Mm-hmm. I love you, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Please reach out to me. I know you have an event coming up in Mexico. I want to go. I'll get there. I am going to try to go see. He used to come to Toronto, Canada.
Oh, nice.
I think the last time they came was 2019, but they haven't been back since.
No, wonder why.
I don't know.
Wonder what event happened. Anyways.
But but back to it. So just pretend right now, like, we're talking as seasoned. I like to think I'm seasoned. I like to think
salt and pepper,
that I'm good and I understand. But I'm when I have conversations with people, I always listen. I always see their point of view.
Yeah.
So what would you say to somebody who knows absolutely nothing about anything we just talked about, and they're like, "Hey, how do I reconnect to myself?" What would be the simplest one sentence you would give them? And
just the fact that you asked me how to reconnect to yourself means that you already know how.
We're done. That's it, folks.
Just that awareness that you need to reconnect is the most, think of that. You just asked how to reconnect. You know how. You just have to remember how. Take that breath. Take that deep breath. Go within.
And that's it. And find what works for you, right?
Find what works for you.
If you have no experience, and find people that might have experience, reach out, right?
Go try different meditation classes. Go try walking in a forest. Go try sit in a salt cave. Go try writing. Go out. But honestly, if you feel the need to reconnect with yourself, start exploring that. start exploring, okay, well, how can I reconnect to myself? Because I'm not going to be able to give you one answer because there's 10,000 answers. There's not one way that one person can reconnect with yourself. I created these doors because this is one way that people can reconnect with themselves, but it's not the only way. It's definitely not the only way. This is one out of a lot.
Infinite
amount
but
of
this
ways.
is what's working for you. And this is what I want to stress is like, this salt cave that we're in, we're sitting here and it's nice and quiet. Probably hear an echo. I'm sorry. I should bring panels next time. But this is the room we're in. We're sitting in a salt cave. We turned off the waterfalls because we didn't want to hear trickling while we're talking. People will be like so annoyed with that. Right. But it's so relaxing and quiet and like just sitting in here. And I've been here where I just sat with myself, didn't come into any class, just sat here, and I'm just like, it's good. And I'm lucky. Or in the sense, because I travel up in the Arctic, there's no cell phone reception, there's no radio. I'm alone with my thoughts or whoever's in the truck with me, who's usually...
Yeah.
But not everybody has that opportunity to disconnect from the world to connect to yourself. So just to start, when somebody goes, okay, I'm listening to this podcast, okay, okay, Linda, I'm listening to you.
I get it.
I understand. So how much time should I start? I'm trying to just relax and be with myself.
When I was a new mom and I started reading books and people were like, oh, you need to meditate for 30 minutes a day, I would be so triggered by that because I was like, how in the world am I going to find 30 minutes of peace and quiet a day for me? That was impossible. It's impossible. As a new mom, oh my goodness, I was up. My son he was allergic to dairy. I didn't know that for the first 4 months of his life. So he basically screamed for 4 months until that got out of my breast milk. Holy moly. But and he hated sleep. He's 9 and he still hates sleep. I couldn't. And then I learned I didn't have to. You do not have to have 30 minutes. You don't even have to have 10 minutes. You need 30 seconds. You just need, if just one big inhale, one good breath. So one good inhale and one good exhale. Just to that, boom, that's 20, 30 seconds.
Wow.
That's all you need. And if the more you do it, the more you'll connect. And then maybe you'll start taking a song and doing it to one song where you just let yourself really connect to yourself, right? Just kind of feel as you're breathing, just feel yourself, feel the movement that you want to do, feel the rhythm take over you, and you just kind of pour yourself into that song. 3 minutes. You don't need 30 minutes. You don't need an hour. 30 seconds.
So you're telling me, Linda, I don't need to sit down and meditate all day?
You do not. I never do. My sons are now 9 and 7, 6. And I still don't. It works for some people, and that's wonderful. And I encourage them to do that. This is what I want them to do. But you do not have to be able to connect back to yourself. Obviously, I want you to sit in my salt cave for an hour because it's amazing and it's wonderful and it's peaceful and oh my goodness. But you can take that breath, just one deep breath, and then another, and then another. And you'll feel your whole body just, you'll reconnect. And that's so important.
And I just want to sit here and start breathing now.
Right?
Okay, you guys, we're done in the podcast.
Right. Well, there's a reason why I named 2 of my stores, the Sauble and the Port Elgin location, Breathe. Because to me, breathe is the one thing that you could always do. Always.
And let's just, just for an example, not just like, right?
No.
Just take a nice, empty out your lungs.
So the way I always talk about breathing is, okay, so I'm a woman who has always been, I can't stick out my stomach, right? Like, no. When you want a deep breath in, you take a deep breath and you should be expanding your belly. Yeah. As I'm breathing, wait a minute, am I doing this right? You're expanding your lungs, you're bringing all that in, but you're really taking a deep breath and you're really feeling like I take very slow breaths. So for me, 30 seconds is probably like, like 8, 9, 10 seconds for the inhale at least. And then you exhale and you take, it's just those long, slow, take your time with it, right? But don't make it like, don't wait a minute, I need to make this last. If it only lasts 15 seconds for your first deep breath, great, right? But just try to take that inhale and just go as deep as possible within yourself. I personally I'm a visualizer. Okay, I'm a writer, I'm a visualizer. So I literally see my breath going through all the different parts of my body. I see it going all the way down to my toes, all the way to my fingertips, because I feel like that's what I do. But some people feel it. Right? Some people just need to feel that, right? That's a deep breath that's going within everywhere. And then you let it go. And that's 30 seconds. But yeah, no, it's not that. People seem to breathe shallow.
Yeah.
And deep and always breathe in through your nose. And you can breathe out with your nose or your mouth. It really doesn't matter. I don't think it matters. I've done both. People always say breathe out with your mouth, but I've done both.
Yeah, you do what works for you. There's no right or wrong way.
There's no right or wrong way. The most important is to make that good deep breath, just to really connect. And you'll start noticing the difference when you take those deep breaths about how much better you feel, just how much calmer you feel. Just that few seconds of breathing just almost resets your whole system.
Yeah.
Right? And bringing awareness to your own body. Amazing.
And you could do it when you're driving, walking, waiting in a line at Disney World if you want.
Which is why, for me, the breath is everything. Right? Breathing is your everything. Because you might not always have your journal with you. You could always talk to yourself. But right? But if you're always stuck on external sources like that, you might not have them with you.
Yeah. So you got to make do.
You got to make do with what you got, which is your breath or your voice in your head. Talk to yourself.
You make me sound crazy.
I'm not. I just, yeah.
I do. Well, hey, that's why I'm good at podcasts. I can talk to myself
right?
in a room.
The funny thing is that I do talk to myself, just not out loud.
Yeah.
I have lots of conversations happening in my head all the time.
But when it gets really intense, that's when I go out loud. Because it feels more real to me.
Right.
In my reality.
Yeah. Which is perfect because that's when I grab my journal. Right? For me, when I need to get it all out and it's like it's too much for my head. It's almost like it's too much. I can't think straight anymore. I need to go to my journal. Or just take a deep breath and let it go. That works too. It'll come back another day.
That's good.
Right.
So, well, thank you very much for having us here in this amazing salt cave. And once again, we're with Linda. We're at Corriveau in Owen Sound, Ontario. And we will have all the links in the bio, websites and stuff, so you can come check it out if you're in Owen Sound. You can also check it out in London. There's another salt cave there. Is the salt cave in London bigger or smaller?
It's different. So this one's more rectangular. That one's more square.
Yeah, this one's long.
This one's long, right? But I think square footage-wise, we're about the same. It's just this one is longer, narrower, skinnier.
No, it is really nice. And thank you very much for allowing us to do this here. Hopefully the sound quality is good and that...
we will see, right?
And that the sound engineer doesn't have too much work to it. I'm sorry in advance. But before we leave, let's just, let's everybody who's listening to us right now, let's just close your eyes if you can, but take a nice, long, deep breath in and breathe out. We'll do it right now. And remember, just show up for yourself. Be there for you. You are the most important person. Like, in everybody out there, like, in everybody's realities, we are the most important. We shouldn't be focusing on trying to survive. We should focus on ourselves. And just let everything just flow. And naturally, we'll just all have an amazing life.
Absolutely.
It's crazy to say that I started my company by just getting out of my way and giving up and just going, okay, let's do it. And now it works. And now I try to take control. It doesn't work. So if all you got out of this episode is that you need to slow down and take a deep breath in and relax and just reconnect with yourself. Because that's the key to start manifesting anything you need in your
Everything.
world.
That is the key to change your life. Life changers.
Life Changers with Mike and Linda.
Thanks, Mike.
Well, thank you very much again. And I do appreciate everything and letting us come in here and record. And just remember, everybody, we are all a work in progress. And it does take one day at a time. And remember my mantra. I have a mantra.
Oh, you're special.
I don't know if you heard it in any of my podcasts, but it's Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata.
It just means, I sing
Singing
a lot
it
too.
again.
But it just means no worries. So just everybody just know that there's no worries. Just enjoy life, live in the moment, be happy, and know that, you are loved, you are important, and you're an amazing person. And Linda, you are an amazing person, an amazing soul. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you so much, Mike.